Hello, my lovely. You didn't get to where you are in your business by doing shit the way that everybody else does. And you know that what got you to where you are now is not going to get you to where you want to be. And if you are listening to this podcast, it's because you want to be the go to for what you do better than anyone else. Your brilliance is the niche. Being you, that bold, unfuckwithable presence that you've secretly been craving to set free, she is in there. And that means you will have to burn some old bridges down. And attracting your people will also repel those who are not for you. Fucking hooray. Becoming a force of nature business and brand means no more Miss People Pleaser, no more hiding your turbo brain, no more dimming down jack shit. And if you have ever been told to tone it down as a woman with ADHD, it's time to tone your shit all the way the fuck back up. That is how you create unstoppable momentum in your business and visibility that is something you've been avoiding, but that you truly want. This podcast is about stepping into your upgrade, watering down anything, never change the fucking world. You were not born to be forgettable. And as one of my all-time favorite quotes says, well-behaved women rarely make history, and nothing about you or me is well-behaved, at least not anymore. Over 6 weeks, I'm sharing the areas of my new Anti-Framework Business Scaling Playbook created for ADHD women who are feral as fuck, who are coaches and online service providers. This is it. This is the final week of the series. If you haven't heard all of the previous episodes, go back 5 episodes and start there and listen to them in order. Unless you're a rebel and you're going to be like, no, Carrie, I want to listen to this one. I don't want to listen in order. I highly encourage you to, because you're going to get a lot more out of it. But I also understand that rebellious brain of ours. So let's talk. On March 6, 2023, at 49 years old, and after having been a business owner since I was 24, I was diagnosed with ADHD while running this business, and I have been in the online arena since 2019, but really decided to lean into becoming a coach and business mentor in 2021. However, I couldn't get my business to be where I wanted it to be, which was weird because I'd owned other businesses before. I'd built them organically, but I also ended up burning them to the ground out of burnout and did not want to repeat the same mistake, right? Now I know why. I had ADHD this whole time. My ADHD diagnosis came into play. So this is the final episode where I'm going to share the process with you of how I found my signature method, which I thought was a joke when other business owners would say it. I'm like, how does somebody even figure out a signature process, et cetera? But what I realized is that after really, really working closely with ADHD women, especially late diagnosed ADHD women, since my diagnosis, I realized there were through lines on what we needed to speak in a slightly different way to our wiring. And so this is all of those types of things that we need to hear in a slightly different way, so that our feral funhouse of a brain is like, okay, all right, that makes a lot more sense. I get it. And I will also say that all of the things that I'm teaching here or that I'm sharing with you, these lead to so much more self-trust and increased self-esteem, not just in your business, but in life in general. Because after a lifetime of lacking self-trust and having trouble with self-esteem because we somehow thought we were less than, often because of things that other people would say to us that we ended up letting root in our brain and believing. And some of those things that we felt less than were actually just traits of ADHD. And now that we know, whether you're diagnosed or undiagnosed but vibing, that this has to do with ADHD. And when you are aware, it gets to be better. So that shit changes now when it comes to building that self-trust and building that self-esteem. So from one force of nature to another, turn the volume up to an 11 and let's get feral. Welcome back to the ADHD Entrepreneur, the podcast for feral as fuck ADHD women in business. The ones of us who refuse to play by the rules because rules aren't real, they aren't any. We're all just making it up as we go along. So they're arbitrary. My name is Carrie. I'm your host. I'm the head bitch in charge around here, and I am also the chief weirdo of my brand, Carrie Out Loud. If you are new here, welcome. I am so glad that you found the podcast. If this episode has an impact on you, share it with a friend. And if you could do me a quick favor, leave a 5-star review, write a little something about what you took away from this episode or something that you learned that you were like, oh shit, I didn't even know I needed to know that. Or I described something in a way that spoke to your brain in the way that it needed to hear it. Let me know the episode. I would love to hear that. And subscribe, turn on the notifications so that it'll give you a reminder every week so you can listen in. And when you do these things, it just helps other women like you find the podcast. It just pumps it out to more people who need it. So thank you in advance. Usually I do different topics in each episode because I like to give little bite-sized pieces. That's kind of how our brains work the best. But this is a series of 6, and this is the final one in the series. And I'm so excited that I did this because these, as I said earlier, are the main things that tend to be challenging for those of us with ADHD in our businesses. And I'm teaching them in a way that makes sense to the way that our brains are wired. So let's get into it. And this one is fucking important. It's so important. I cannot stress it. You may have none of these. You may have some of these. You may have too many of these to the point where it's like Fort Knox. Okay. So, but what we're talking about is boundaries, boundaries in your business. We're not talking about life boundaries. Sometimes we have so many boundaries around ourselves. It creates a wall. And that isn't what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the kind of boundaries that actually need to be part of your business strategy because they are protective of you. They are protective of your brand. They are protective of many things. And I'm going to go into that. But what I want you to understand first and foremost as recovering good girls, people pleasers, yes people, all of that stuff is that boundaries in business aren't personal. They are a business decision and a business strategy. And if you are not creating boundaries, you are leaking energy, time, emotions, labor, emotional labor. It's going to stop you from scaling. And that's not to scare you or to be an asshole. That is like, and I'm going to go through the list and you'll see exactly what I mean. But if you are not putting these boundaries into effect, growing your business and scaling it is going to feel impossible because you are going to feel so drained all the time that it's going to be hard for you to think, how can I find more time? How am I going to be able to do one more fucking thing? Because perhaps there's not boundaries around your time or with your clients in certain ways. So this is how we're going to get into it. I'm going to talk about boundaries for you to audit in 7 different areas of your business. Now, there may be other places that you think of as I'm talking that may come up for you. So definitely take a look at those areas as well. But these are the main ones that I see. And so let's chitty chat. Your time. Time is, as I say, on repeat and will continue to say over and over again, the most valuable currency in your life. Money is a renewable resource. Your time isn't. And I'm talking now specifically about time in your business. How you give your time, the ways you give your time, who you give your time to, and how you protect your time. So when you're auditing your time, I want you to take a look at, are you interacting with clients outside of the scope of the work you agreed to? For example, they're in a program where they come in a couple of times a month with you. You give maybe some hot seat coaching. You maybe have a group chat in there, something like that, but they still are coming into your DMs asking business questions and you're answering them. You're answering them. It's time to stop that shit, baby. It's time to stop it. It's not about you being a dick. It's about the fact that it is outside of the scope that you agreed to in your work. How solid you want to stick to that boundary is up to you. But here's what I'm going to tell you. You teach your clients how to treat you. You teach people how to treat you. And specifically, you teach people how to treat your time. And so if you say, I'm available in our group chat between 10 and 4, somebody puts a question in there at say 7 o'clock and you answer them at 8 p.m., you have just told them that your boundary means jack shit. And then what happens is it continues to get trampled on. That's teaching them, because like I said, what you're saying and what you're doing are two different things. They're going to base it on your actions, not what you're saying. So when it has to do with time, are you going beyond those boundaries that you set up with your clients? And have you taught them that it's okay to do that? I am constantly working on this one. I'm getting so much better, but this is a challenging point for me because I love my people and I love talking to them and I want to talk to them all the time and tell them all the things and help them. That's my nature. But I also know that my time is my most important currency. I need downtime. I need time away. I need time to pause. I need time for my creativity to flow. So do you. Setting up a time boundary can look something like having a signature line in an email that says, I don't respond to emails after 4 p.m., or something like, I will respond within 24 to 48 hours. That is a time boundary. Or another boundary around your time is, I don't respond to business questions in the DMs. Say you have a Telegram or a Vox or another place, because when I have group stuff, when I have like a group chat with a community, or like, let's say the Neurospicy Sisterhood, there is a group chat on Instagram for Neurospicy Sisterhood, but that's for them. For my mastermind, it's a group chat where they get to ask me questions, or even my one-on-one clients have that separate channel that is off of Instagram, because then I know these are my paying clients and they're asking me questions, and this is where I'm going to go to interact with them. I don't answer business questions in my DMs on Instagram. That's not where business lives. That's where connecting lives. That's where networking lives. That's where talking to prospective clients live. That's where sending my friends funny reels lives. But my business chats are not on there. And that's by design. Because if I have a business chat on Instagram and I'm not on Instagram for half a day because I'm working on a project or doing something behind the scenes or have client work or whatever, I want to know that whatever's coming in, that comes in on, say, Telegram or Voxer, I know that's clients. That's going to get my immediate attention way quicker than anything else on Instagram. That was me creating a time boundary and creating a boundary that has to do with the scope of the work. Next up is energy. What people, tasks, or projects, or offers are draining you like a fucking energy vampire versus fueling you, versus it's part of your purpose, why you're running this business. It's the things you love to do and you love to get paid for. This is a big one for us with ADHD because our energy is finite. We will have boundless energy some days and be potato on other days. That's how it rolls. And we have to take that ebb and flow of our energy into account in our business. It's real. It's not something you're making up. It's real. This is the 6th episode of the podcast that I've recorded today. I'm working a little later than I normally would because I wanted to have the energy around this that I'm feeling right now about this and sharing it with you. But I'm going to guarantee you tomorrow, I'm going to be a little bit more tired. I'm going to have a little bit less energy. And I also know what tomorrow looks like and what specific things I have to do tomorrow. And I'm totally prepared for all of those things. So for me to be hyper focused on getting these episodes together feels great. It's not draining to me, but I also know with my energy ebbs and flows what tomorrow is going to look and feel like, most likely. And it's not always that way, but I prepare for it and I plan for it. I know that I can look at that and go, okay, tomorrow I have this, this, and that. I'm going to be solid in being able to do that. So doing this project, doing these episodes felt great, felt really good. That's the kind of shit I'm talking about. So looking at the people or the tasks or the projects or the offers, et cetera, that are draining you and voting them off of the island or breaking down tasks into smaller pieces or breaking projects down and taking a little bit longer to get them done, but knowing they're going to get done. And people, just because somebody wants to work with you or wants to hire you, if you have a conversation and the vibe is just off for you and you're like, this is not going to work for me. You just know energy wise, you are not a fit. You're allowed to refer them to somebody else who may be a better fit for them. It's not that they're a bad person or you're a bad person. You're just like, this is just not going to work for me, especially if it's somebody you're going to work with on a 3 or 6 or 12-month basis. You know what I'm saying? And that's not something that happens a lot, okay? That's not what I'm saying either. What I'm saying is if you know that the second you get on a call with somebody, they are just combative and you know that is not going to work for you, you get to say it's not a fit. When I was a real estate agent, there were a couple of clients that I fired. They had unrealistic expectations on the price point of the properties they were looking to purchase. I explained to them what it was going to be, what they were going to be seeing. I explained to them where they were going to be seeing it. I got them pre-qualified for their price point. I took them out on a showing. They hated everything they were seeing, wanted to see other things. The other things weren't in their price range. And I knew that the way they were talking to me, I could remember one client specifically, which is crazy because I was like 26 when he was my client. I remember this client specifically because I said to him, because he was so rude and so combative with me, I said, you know what? I don't think I'm the right fit for you, but I would be happy to refer you to somebody else who may be a better fit. And found another agent in the office who dealt with more of the type of real estate he was looking for, even though I knew I could absolutely sell it. I think he needed somebody who wasn't me because he just wasn't able to hear it. I want you to understand you're allowed to do that too. If somebody comes to you, they haven't hired you yet, and you're just feeling they're just pushing in a way or pushing buttons that aren't going to work with what you're trying to help them with, you're allowed to say it's not a fit. And if no one's ever told you that before, now you know. Now you know. Let's talk about capacity. What is your emotional capacity, your mental capacity, your physical bandwidth capacity? And I am not talking about the imaginary superhero version you wish you could be. I'm talking about real life. And capacity also means how many people in your offers can you have in each one so that you can be the best mentor, coach, service provider, whatever it is that you can possibly be. Because it is unfair to be half-assed with those clients because you took on too many people. That's not their problem. That's your problem. So when it comes to capacity, for example, I have an offer where I know it's my highest level package. It is very high touch. It is a lot of access to me. It is a lot of one-on-one time. It is a lot of Voxer or Telegram time. I know for a fact that that type of client who is paying me that type of investment and wants that type of help for specific results, I know I can take 2 at a time, the end. With everything else that I do in my business, I know 2 is my capacity for that. I didn't allow myself to learn the hard way. I took on 1 to really feel out what that was like. Did I like it? Yes. Could I do it with 10 clients? Fuck no. I knew that. So I have other places that I know I have higher capacity, slightly less proximity. Not everybody is designed to be a one-on-one client, or do they want to be a one-on-one client? So I learned my capacity for each of those offers. So I want you to think about your emotional capacity in doing what you do. If you're having 5 back-to-back-to-back clients and say you're a life coach, that can be a lot of emotional capacity. Your mental capacity. Can you have 7 clients in a row? Or is your brain going to be Swiss cheese by client number 3? Know that. You don't have to take on the world. I know that we are super smart. I know that we have a lot of capacity to do a lot of different things, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. And you are going to be able to make enough income. If you listened to episode the 4th in this series about you being the offer and about pricing and about how to have that baseline, and then your for funsies offers and cash infusions and all those things, right? What is your capacity for those core offers? That's really important for you to know. Start smaller than you think you have capacity for. And then that way, if it happened to be more than you thought it was in the first place, you can make adjustments. That's what's really great about owning your own business and creating your own offers, right? So you're not here to be Superwoman. You're here to be yourself. You're here to have a chill nervous system. You're here to have clients you fucking love and work you love doing. All of those things are allowed, and capacity is a massive, massive, massive part about that. And not a lot of mentors, for some reason, talk about capacity, which is strange to me because it's like you have to make sure your people understand their energy for the different types of offers or clients they're taking on, retainers, etc. It's super, super important to understand that. Audit your attention. Where is your focus leaking? Are there people who hijack your focus? Are there things you do that take your focus or your attention and you don't even realize it? Are there things you are doing in your day-to-day work that is pulling your attention away to where you need to maybe do something like set a timer for 20 minutes and make your and be very focused in that 20 minutes? Take a little bit of a break. It's called the Pomodoro technique, but it's a way for you to have focus on certain things without letting yourself go astray. Another thing you can do when you feel like you're leaking attention and you're doing something specific and you need to be focused, sometimes what our brain will do is it'll say, you need to go wash your car right now. No, you don't. But your brain is saying you do. So one of my little tips is to have and I did this early on when I had my first business, I had a notepad with a pen next to me. And anytime my brain was trying to take me away from what I was trying to do, and this was before I knew I had ADHD, which is crazy. It's like something that I came up with that actually helped me with that attention and the focus. Anytime my brain came up with some bullshit thing that I needed to do, or maybe it isn't even bullshit, it is actually something I need to do, but procrastivity is real. Procrastivity is not doing the thing that you need to be doing, but doing something else that is productive, but it's not the thing you're supposed to be doing, right? Or that you need to be doing to get done. So when you're working on something and you're needing to have focus and attention on that, and your brain wants to take you in another direction, says you need to do this, oh, don't forget to do that, grab your pen, write it down, put the pen down, get back to your focus. And do this in like 20-minute spurts, right? When you do that, it helps you leak less focus. Also, if you work at home or you work in a space where there's a lot of times where people will hijack your attention. Now, if you're a parent and you're the only person who's there and you're working, that is a different situation. But if you have the ability, say, to leave the house and go to a coffee shop or go somewhere where there's people around, because that tends to make us more productive, and that helps you focus because loudness at home is distracting you or something like that. These are the kind of things to look at. What hijacks your focus? Who hijacks your attention? You may not realize it. So, taking an audit means paying attention over the next day or two and seeing what things snag that attention and go, I didn't even realize that was a thing. It's very helpful because it just opens your eyes to those couple of things that are pulling you away from some of the things you really do want to do. It's just that our brain wants to look at everything and we need to help it gently, gently guide it back to where it's supposed to be. Emotional labor. Where are you doing extra unpaid caring work, like managing other people's feelings? Because that is not your fucking job. We cannot manage other people's feelings. They can't manage their fucking own feelings. We at times can't manage our own feelings. If we cannot manage our own feelings or our own things, why would you think that you can manage somebody else's anything? You can't. Literally, it's like trying to be perfect. Perfection doesn't exist. You can't be perfect. Managing someone else's feelings, you can't. That's their job. Your job is to manage your own as best you can and keep yourself as regulated as you can. So, what kind of emotional labor are you putting in managing other people's emotions? This can be clients. It can be clients. So, if you feel like you're trying to manage their emotions, I'm not saying about support and doing what I call radical listening, which is where I'm not actually here to give you any wisdom or advice. You just need somebody to listen. And we're in a session and you need that. Absolutely. I'm going to open the door to allow that shit to come out because sometimes that's the thing that's clogging up moving forward in some way in business. That isn't what I'm talking about. Because you aren't trying to manage those feelings. They need to be heard. That person needs to be heard. You're not trying to fix it or change it or make it feel better. You're doing radical listening, which is where they're saying what they need to say. They are being heard. And you are not trying to fix their shit. I fucking love radical listening. But if you are trying to manage the emotions there, that is emotional labor. That isn't your job. So where are you doing that? In your business, but also where are you doing that in your life? You may be doing that with people in your world, in your day-to-day life. And that's not your fucking job. So who are those people? What are those things? Audit that. Let's talk about accessibility. You are not a McDonald's drive-through. Remember that slogan, we do it all for you, right? That's McDonald's. Yeah, that's not you. That's not you. You're not available 24/7, 365 to anybody except yourself. So with accessibility, I want you to audit. How easily can people reach you? Are your Voxer DMs, emails, texts, are they open wide 24/7 for your clients to get a response from you? I'm not saying they're not open because it's okay for people to send Voxers or DMs or emails or text or whatever. But are they expecting a response because you have taught them that they're going to get one? Or have you set up boundaries around those time frames? when it comes to your accessibility and what you're being paid to do. Because again, it isn't about money, it's about boundaries around the scope of your work, being clear about them. And if you're clear about when you're accessible and you keep those boundaries, your clients will leave messages like, okay, hey, I'm going to drop this in, but I know I'm not going to hear from you until the morning. So, I know I'll hear from you then, but here's what's going on. You're going to get messages like that because nothing is that urgent. Nobody is losing an arm. Nothing is that urgent. And if they treat you like an emotional support system where they do think that it is that urgent and you're supposed to answer them right now, right away, especially in the DMs like on Instagram, that's not where client shit lives, like I said earlier. It should live in a totally different place. And that's just to let you know something is business versus not necessarily business, like not a prospective client or something like that. The people who are paying you to do specific things, you know that when you hear from them on that channel, it's business. It's like having a bat phone, right? It's the other phone that you answer because you know exactly why it's ringing. So I want you to audit your accessibility. Are you all up in the DMs coaching your people and answering all the questions and giving them this and giving them that? And I'm not talking about your business sisters. That's different. I have a handful of business sisters where we talk back and forth. We trade different ideas. We ask opinions, those kind of things. That to me is way different than coaching. Those are my business sisters. We all need to have those, the ones that are not behind a paywall. Okay. But what I am talking about are the clients who expect more from you than you are really wanting to give, because you need to also have a fucking life. Decision-making power. Audit this. Where are you handing your decision-making power away to others instead of trusting your own judgment and setting the terms? Do you have no boundaries? That's basically what this is saying. Do you have no boundaries? Other people are setting the terms of everything in your business and what you're doing. You're not making those decisions in any way. You're letting other people kind of lead you around by the neck. You need to not be doing that anymore. It is about beginning to trust yourself and beginning to trust your judgment and putting those boundaries in place. Because boundaries are actually a very caring thing to do. Boundaries create clarity. People are clear. Their expectations of you are clear because you've given them the parameters. It's kind. Boundaries are kind. They're not mean. They're kind because everybody's clear on what it is, and it doesn't, and nobody's feeling like they're not getting what they need, right? You're not feeling like you're being taken advantage of. They're not feeling like they're taking advantage of you. And then the last thing I want you to audit is revenue boundaries. No more working for people who drain you dry. One of the things that I will say when it comes to certain clients is that, especially, I hate saying it this way because this is not across the board by any stretch of the imagination, but oftentimes the people that you have that feeling of, early on in your business where you probably know who I'm talking, exactly the kind of person I'm talking about when I explain it this way. When you're newer in your business and you were taking any and all clients, okay? And you had those kind of clients who came into your DMs, you felt like you had to convince them about your offer, or say it's like something that was only $99 and you're telling them all the reasons why they should, and you're overselling it and all, like trying to give away the farm. And then they buy the thing and they treat you like they're a $10,000 client and you owe them everything. And they just drain you because you, at that point, were like, not begging them to work with you, but telling them why this was going to be so great for them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There are no boundaries there because, one, you were so busy trying to convince them to work with you that you didn't even think about the fact you want to work with somebody who you have to convince over $99. That's really more of what I'm saying. And again, not everybody who buys low ticket is a low ticket client or has that kind of treatment of other people. I am literally not trying to be an asshole here. I'm just being real because this is what I notice that happens a lot when it comes also to your energy, the energy that you put out there and the confidence you put out there and those boundaries that you put out there stop people from trying to suck you dry. And that's at any price point. I guess that's really what I'm trying to say here is it really has to do with your energy. And having that confidence creates revenue boundaries easily where you're not working for people who want to like suck you dry. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Please, like it makes sense. Another thing I want you to understand is poor boundaries is poor brand trust. Your dream clients, your fuck yes, dreamy clients, they want you to have strong boundaries. It makes you safer to invest in. You know why? Because you're not drained dry. You are able to give them the energy they deserve. They're investing with you. They want to have the person they invested in be there with them and for them during that time. So, of course, they want you to have strong boundaries. It gives them safety. They know you're going to be there for them. In those times you're with them, you're there. And you're leading by example, which creates a ripple effect. Here's something you may not have thought about when it comes to boundaries, but this is a really fun one. When other people around you see you holding boundaries, they realize they're allowed to also. If you're not available 24/7, 365, because you're not supposed to be, by the way, you're a business owner. You're not, you're not an on-call personal assistant, right? If that's the job you have and that's the job you're hired for, then you understand what the expectation is. But that's not usually the kind of work you're doing, right? So when you hold these boundaries and your clients see you hold these boundaries, it teaches them they're allowed to have them too. And that ripples to them and that ripples to their clients because their clients then see they're allowed to have boundaries and so on and so on and so forth, right? Just because you can doesn't mean you have to, right? Just because you can do certain things doesn't mean you have to. And that's where you get to put up those boundaries. And shit, those boundaries may be hard for you to hold because you are like me and you want to give everything you possibly can to your people because you want to see them have their success. But that eventually it will come at a cost. And that's what I'm trying to impress to you here. That ripple effect is so badass leadership of you, my friend. It's so badass because it does show others who may have no boundaries that they're allowed to have them. And that'll be life-changing for them and it'll change their business too. Believe me that. So plugging these kind of leaks and auditing these things in your business straight up means you will make a higher level of income. You will have more freedom. You will have more space in your calendar. You will have a schedule that you are obsessed with, filled with fuck yes, dreamy clients like you can't believe because you don't have these leaks anymore. Your clients are clear. You're clear. You have room to move around and breathe. You get to create whatever kind of schedule you want. That changes your business, but that really changes your quality of life. And at the end of the day, that's what boundaries do is they change your quality of life. There are going to be exceptions to every rule, but we're talking about the 95% of the time, not the 5% of the time when there may be exceptions for you to, bend something in your business. But it should be the exception, not the rule. So here's what I want you to do. These are these 3 things for this episode. Choose one boundary in one area. Don't try to set 87 new boundaries because you're going to be like freaking the fuck out. Your brain's going to be like, oh, this isn't safe. I'm not used to this. One boundary in one area, and just do a quick gut check on it. Do you have a boundary there that you want? Do you not have a boundary somewhere that you need to implement one? Do you need to put a tagline on your emails saying you will respond after a certain time or before a certain time or a certain amount of time that you get back? Do you need to put in your contracts, say for a Telegram or a Voxer, that you're available between this hour and this hour from this point on? Like, what is something, a boundary that you can set now? The next thing I want you to do is pick one place where you will plug a boundary leak. So something where you may have had a boundary and you just let it fall by the wayside. You just pulled your finger out of the plug and just no more boundary. What do you need to patch over? A boundary you have that is now a leak. Just do it. And I want you to think about this and reflect on this. How does having stronger boundaries actually make you a better business owner? How do you think it will make you a better business owner? Is it because you're leading by example? Is it because it'll be a permission slip to other people? Is it because you will have more energy to give your fuck yes people? How will it make you a better business owner? Think about that. Okay. And with that, I'm going to end today's episode and this awesome series. I hope that this series was something that really spoke to you. I would love to hear what you got out of the series as a whole, because now this is really the keystone of the foundation of my business and the things that I can help you with the absolute best. And if you love this episode or you love this series within this podcast, send them to a friend, subscribe to the podcast, send me a love note, drop into my DMs, let me know what you thought. And I am a connection queen. I am a super connector. I love meeting different humans. I've said this before, but I'm no different than you. I'm a business owner just like you. Just because I have a microphone in front of my mouth doesn't make me any different than you. And I would love to hear from you. So please, please, please reach out if you'd like to say hi or have any questions. So until next week, I see you. I love you. And I am fucking rooting for you always. Stay feral, of course, always. Yeah. Bye. Oh, hey, you're still here. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. Be sure to check out the show notes for all the ways to follow me. And of course, my goal is to find and help as many women with ADHD get away from the 9-to-5 grind, because it's just not designed for our neurospicy brilliance, and there are other ways to do life. So by subscribing, sharing, and giving a 5-star review, it helps other women find this podcast as well. And if there's an episode you really love, please feel free to take a screenshot and share it on your social and tag me in it so that I can thank you personally. Until next time, you spicy brained unicorn. Bye.